Welcome to Q&A with Creatives. I'm your host, Sheila Frank, designer and entrepreneur. Each week, I'll be chatting with creatives from film, fashion, music, art, dance, and design. This is a live chat, so if you'd like to interact with us, please comment below. Our guest today has been in the LA fashion industry since 2007. She has worked for Morphine Generation, ALC with Andrea Lieberman, and Raquel Allegra, just to name a few. She also has her own label and started a mask company, Safe Face LA. Please join me in welcoming Jessica Darwin.
Hi.
Hey, Jen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I know this is weird. There's always a lag. People don't like tune in till we're a little bit into it, so we're good.
That's okay. My sister's on.
Oh, yay.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi. That's awesome. So I'm just gonna warn you in advance, I'm home right now and my dogs keep barking. So it'll be fun. We'll pause and then we'll regroup if they start barking again.
Okay.
So, all right. Yay.
Hi,
So
Jeanette.
Jess. Oh, yay. Hi, Jeanette. Love it. So we met in college. So we're going to go backwards and start talking about your journey. Dude, you have fans. Someone else says hello too. That's
My
awesome.
friend Lindsay.
Oh, yay. If you guys have questions and stuff too, you can comment below and we can answer them.
Okay.
So,
I gotta tell you about Lindsay later because she's part of the whole journey.
oh, you can talk about her during your journey. What? That's what this is all about. This whole thing is about promoting creative people.
Cool.
So that's good. Yay. All right. So Jess, what's up? You're in LA. This is awesome. So let's talk from the beginning. So I learned from you when we were chatting the other day that you started in fine arts first.
Yep.
So I love that. I love that as a fashion designer because you come from the art aesthetic and it's not just about making clothes that sell, so you get to be more creative.
Yeah.
So rewind.
Yeah.
When did you start art? When did you realize you were an artist?
Probably
High school?
when I was like 2 years old. No, because I used to be. I used to. Sorry, I'm seeing my sister's comment. She's trying to get my dad on. I don't have Instagram.
Oh,
Anyway,
it'll be filmed.
I think I started. I realized that I was an artist when I was like a little kid because all I wanted to do was just like arts and crafts. I had this like little arts table when I was a kid, and I would just sit there and draw and make things, and I would sell little handmade trinkets like pencil holders and stuff like that out of construction paper. I just always knew that I wanted to do something in art. So when it was like, okay, now you're going to go to college, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know, something in art. So I signed up to I went to Moore College of Art and Design, and that's where I met you. And
Yay.
originally I was a fine arts major, and I realized
Right.
that all I my spare time was I wasn't doing my homework, but I was making clothing in my dorm room. In like this little tiny dorm room floor, I was taking all my favorite outfits and I was laying them out on the floor. I would put tracing paper over top, and then I would use my charcoals from class and I would like rub the edges, so I would make a pattern from that. And then all I did was just cut them out of new fabrics, and I would like make new garments out of it, and then I would, you know, go out to the club and go dancing. So
So you didn't even realize you were doing rub off patterns.
sorry,
That's
my
remember
cats are wanting my attention. They're literally throwing things off of the table in front of me.
you can bring them into the screen if you want. It's
Fine,
they're like, Mom.
they're being brats, but it's okay. So yeah, that's kind of like how I got my start into fashion. And then I realized I probably shouldn't be a fine arts major. I should probably just go into the fashion field. And
Nice.
I'm glad I did. It worked out, so I still like it.
Yeah. So when you started working out of your dorm room doing fashion stuff, like you didn't realize you were making patterns. You were doing the rub off pattern technique, which is pretty cool. It was like natural to you.
Yeah.
Did you make anything for friends? Or was it just for you when you were going out to clubs?
I can't remember. I might have.
Okay.
I think I made my friend Lauren a couple of skirts so that she had like stuff to go out in.
Yeah. So in the conversations, I always jump around. So I want to go back a little bit because, so when you were a kid, did you take any classes for art? Was there any like summer workshops or anything that you did? Or was it just all natural?
I did, when I was in high school, I took the Young Artist Workshop at Moore.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So like when I was in high school on the weekends, I would take the train into the city, and then I would take the Young Artist Workshop on the weekends. I did that for a couple of years. So that's kind of how I started. Jakia!
Yay, Jakia!
She needs to be on here next because she just had a solo art show.
I know. We got to promote her.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put you on Jakia during November, because that's when I want to promote small businesses that can like sell their stuff for holiday. So I'll hit you up.
She's an awesome artist. You guys should check her out.
Yeah. Yay.
Hallie.
We'll put her link in this as well. I forget what I was saying.
You were asking about what I did when I was young.
Yes. So did you, okay, so doing the art thing, what was it about more? Because you did the Young Artist Workshop, that's how you realized that's where you wanted to go to college? Did you have any other ideas?
I really liked it there. I liked that it was small. I liked that it was a small college. When I was in high school, I went to this big public school, and it was just like so many people, and I was just like, I can't deal with this. Like, it's too much. The teachers didn't even know my name. I wasn't getting the right kind of education. So I transferred to a different school called Upatinas, and it was like the smallest of the small little hippie schools in the middle of the woods. But it was really cool because I could actually create my own curriculum and work directly with the teachers one-on-one and have like awesome education. So that's one of the reasons why I decided that I really wanted to stick with Moore College of Art and Design, because it was small, it was more focused. So I liked it.
What was that school that you transferred to?
Upatinas.
Oh, cool. I've never heard of it. That sounds awesome.
There was like 12 people. I graduated with one other person.
Whoa, how cool. Yeah, that's what I liked that about Moore too, that it was kind of intensive because you were able to work one-on-one. So, all right, so you switched to fashion. What year was it that you went to Brussels? And how did you learn about that program for school?
So in 2007, so rewind a little bit. In 2006, I think we were juniors in college.
Yes.
And the teachers at Moore told us about this program called Arts of Fashion Foundation. And so we all pitched in and we all did like a project for it. And then the teachers, I think, submitted our work to the competition. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to do this project. It's based on body modification. So I had like this leather harness half top with like blood spattered Gautier fabric coming out of the chest and leather pants. And I made it look like there was scarification on the hips and a big metal rod going through the chest. It was insane, but it was awesome. I love it.
Where did this
So
come from in your brain? Where
I
did
don't
this
know.
inspiration come from? No, I'm gonna ask you these questions, girl.
I don't know. I guess it's like 2006. I was like into
Yeah,
body modification and all that
yeah,
shit. You know? So it was
awesome.
ooh, ooh. I don't know. I just think like the
Yeah,
travel aspect of it and the culture behind it is just so fascinating, you know? So
your
it's
aesthetic has carried through since the day I met you in school.
really
Like that's yeah, you can tell that it's Jessica Darwin, that it's your style. You don't think so? I feel like you can see you have I don't even know how to explain your style. It's like you said kind of tribal, but then there's edge to it. There's a lot of meaning I feel like in your work.
yeah.
It's really cool. But I like that about you because you can tell that it's yours and you can see the journey. So that's why I'm pushing you. You need to continue with your business, girl. But
That's
we'll get to
that's what I'm
that.
working on next.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So when you were in Brussels, did you have a moment where you were like, I love what I'm doing? Or were you questioning what you were doing? Or did you maybe consider moving to Europe? Why? Tell me about the things you were feeling when you were there.
All of it. I absolutely loved it. The school was incredible.
Cool.
So from that arts and fashion competition, you know, they entered our stuff into the competition, and then one of the teachers came over to me one day and was like, "Hey, so remember that project that we did and we entered it? Well, guess what? You won it." And I was like, "What?" And I didn't quite understand like the
That you were going.
the
Yeah.
seriousness of this thing. So
Yeah.
so they're like, "Yeah, you won it." And I was like, "Okay, cool. What did I win?" They're like, "You won a scholarship to Lacombe in Brussels, Belgium." I was like, "Holy shit." So it was kind of like mind blowing because I was like,
Yeah.
"No way." So so it was really cool because it's one of like the most prestigious art schools in Belgium, in all of Europe. Like it's crazy. So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I went there in 2007. It was like January, February-ish. And I had to take some time off from school, which was fun.
Yeah.
I traveled there and I stayed with with this girl who was in the senior class. And the senior class
Yeah.
there, they have 5 years of school there. So by the time
Oh,
you
wow.
be a senior in fashion design, there was literally, I think, 7 people left. That's it, because it like started out with like so many, and the program was so intense and rigorous that lots of people would wind up dropping out and transferring because it was so hard. So I was actually
What
living
is
with the seniors, and it was just absolutely incredible because they see fashion in a completely different way than most people do in the US
yeah.
and like schools, you know, because in I I feel like colleges and schools and stuff like that in and the entire fashion industry in the US is so based on ready to wear and what's going to sell and business. It's business. That's what it is.
Mhm.
And over there, it's art. That's it. It is art. It's
That is awesome.
it's how creative you can be, how you can expand what you think you know, and
Yeah.
just like completely take a 180. Like use materials you never thought that you were going to use. You know, like experiment with colors that you've never thought. Use different kinds of media, you know, like painting on garments, embroidery, different
Yeah.
techniques of like, you know, we wrapped a dress form in plastic wrap and then covered it in duct tape and then just drew lines on it where we thought that you could, like, if you were to go through later and cut those lines out,
Yeah.
the pattern pieces would need to lay flat on the surface, flat on a piece of on the table. So in
Gotcha.
order to do that, we had to think about the curves of the body and stuff like that. And it was really interesting. So I made this piece. It's like this patchwork bodice thing, and every piece is hand embroidered. And I spent hours and hours and hours and hours on it. And now it's like in my drawer.
It's crazy. So
But it's incredible. It was a really good learning experience. So
it sounds, oh, I love that. That sounds awesome. I'm like, in all of what you're saying. Um, So how many projects did you work on when you were there? Was it just one
No,
couple things? Did
hang on. You're asking me some serious questions.
I am. Well, because I'm curious how
Any
they
more
present
coffee?
projects. It is early for you too. You are in LA. I apologize. Sorry.
That's okay. Oh, shout out. This mug is by Cabinet of Curious Clay, who she's on now, Lindsay.
Awesome.
She has like the coolest things in the world. This is my favorite mug of all time. But yeah, she made this by hand. It's rad.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah.
By hand? That's amazing. Pottery is one thing that I tried. It's not for me. And I find that fascinating that people can do that.
It's a process. It was a
Yay.
process too. I'm like, wow, that's so fascinating. I never want to do that. So messy.
True.
I'm like, I'll just let her do it and buy it from her.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So, rewind. Are you ready?
Okay.
So, how do they present you with your projects? Is it a list of stuff, or is it what is it like there with that? Because you're saying it's more of an art and more creative. I feel like when we were at Moore, I feel like our projects were like listed out for us. We had to meet certain criteria.
They definitely like gave you a list of projects. Like there was a bunch of stuff to do. I can't remember all of them, but there was,
Yeah.
class where it was like go do life drawing in like the garden building down the street or something. And I was like, what does this have to do with fashion? And then later on, you kind of like use that inspiration to inspire you to create another design. And it was just really interesting the way like it's kind of like like left brain, right brain.
Yeah.
So what is it? Left brain. Oh, Dominica. Hi, honey. So it's kind of like a left brain, right brain thing. Is it
Cool.
which one is the creative side? Left or right?
I don't know. Don't ask me these questions.
So you have the creative side and you have the like more analytical side. And I feel more analytical side is like US fashion industry. And the creative side of your brain is like Belgian fashion design. And it's completely artistic. Left brain is artistic.
Thank
right,
you.
Jeanette?
I feel like,
but it's incredible. It's a completely different way of thinking, and it was strange because it was funny because I actually like had brought some of my like mini portfolio that I was building from Moore with me, and so some other students like I remember Matthew Blasey. I was showing him my portfolio, and he's like, whoa, what is this? This is amazing. How can you do these drawings? And I was like showing him my flats, and he was like, whoa, this is like, he couldn't wrap his head around it because it was just a completely different way of doing things, you know? So I think his first job was like after college was like the creative director of Raf Simons or something.
Wow.
Yeah. Like
that's awesome.
Like everybody leaves there and they go to like one of them went to Margiela, one of Raf Simons, like I can't remember, but it was just amazing. So
I'm surprised you did not go back to Europe. I'm surprised you didn't land there because I feel like that's your aesthetic. I really do.
Oh, I would love to, but then life happens.
Yeah, life does happen. But okay, so your time in Brussels. But LA is awesome too. That's cool. I was gonna say, your time in Brussels, do you think that gave you the inspiration for your senior collection?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love your senior collection. That coat, oh my God.
Yeah.
The black coat.
I need to I need to
awesome.
some of those pictures. I've been having issues with my hard drive, but I finally figured it out. So now I can go back in and fix it out. Yeah.
All right, so your first job, you're crazy. You were one of those people that graduated and then went right into the industry, which is very impressive because I'm telling you, how many months after
I graduated, I moved to LA.
What did you say? 5 days?
5 days.
Wow. So I was not in the right mindset at all. When I graduated, I was like, give me a break. That is impressive. So how did you land with Morphine Generation?
Okay, so that was my first job.
Yeah.
So I was in LA and I spent about 4 months looking for a job. But I knew like I moved to LA and I was like, okay, I gotta find. Oh, apparently I'm quiet. Do I need to come
I
in?
I will turn my voice down.
Okay, let's try to fix this. I have my thing sitting up on a box. Can you hear me better now?
I do.
Okay.
I have
I
a habit of screaming. If I talk like this, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. This is going to be edited for the actual podcast, so this will all come out.
Because I
So we're good.
Okay, awesome. Great. Thanks, Linz.
Yeah.
No, my setup is really ghetto. I have the phone propped up on boxes right now. So
Ew. They're on my dog's food and treats. Not even kidding.
okay, what were we talking about? Morphine generation.
So your
First
first,
job.
yeah.
So what I did was after I moved to LA, I spent about 4 months trying to find a job, and I was like, how do I find a job in the fashion industry? So I put together my resume, and I just started contacting all of the design companies that I liked that were in LA,
Yeah.
just randomly. Hi, I was
Mhm.
just curious if you had any available positions, blah, blah, blah. And like most of the people didn't reply back to me. And then one of them replied back, and it was Morphine Generation. And they're like, yeah, sure, come on in. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, great. So I had sent them my resume, and apparently they liked it. It was just like randomly, I sent it to like, let me go on the internet and find like, oh, okay, info@morphinegeneration.com. And I sent it out. So
yeah.
anyway, so I went in for an interview, and I liked the place because it was super small. It was just like a designer, a couple tech designers, production manager, warehouse. And I was like, okay, cool. And they're like,
Nice.
oh, we're hiring for an assistant technical designer. Can you do that? And I was like, yes, I can. And then I went home and I was like, what the fuck is a technical designer? So I researched it.
Didn't know that German college either.
I contacted some of the teachers at Moore, and I was like, what is a tech designer? Because they taught us like two days worth of specking and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, let me see what I can do. So thankfully, um, I got the job because I told them flat out, I was like, whatever it is, I can do it and I can fucking learn. Sorry, I gotta stop cursing so much. I sound like a truck.
It's okay.
So I was like, whatever
Okay.
it is, I can do it. I can learn. Like, I got this. And
Yeah.
so the guy who I was his assistant to, he was amazing. His name was Terrence, and he taught me everything he knew about technical design. And he was like, I know this is your first job, but this is how we do this, and this is how we do this, and you organize it this way. You send it out to the factory. You comes in,
Yeah.
you spec it, you fit it, you update it. This is how you rate it. So he taught me everything I know. And then from there, he wound up moving on to become the designer of Mike and Chris, and he recommended me for the position of the lead technical designer. So then I ran all the technical design for Morphine Generation, which then turned into Eric Hart because he expanded to another brand. And then after a couple years I was there, I actually moved over to Terrence. The same guy called me up and was like, come be my tech designer now at Mike and Chris. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I went over there, worked for Mike and Chris for a year, and then it was weird because it was after Mike Gonzalez sold, who's Mike and Chris. He wound up selling the company to another factor, and
Oh wow.
so they were the ones that had it, but they just didn't do a great job of, I guess, marketing it, and so it just kind of tanked. So, oh, sorry, cat hair. It happens. So anyway, so then I go over to Mike and Chris. I was working with him for about a year. Mike and Chris went under. The people who owned Mike and Chris at that point they also own this company called ALC for this woman, Andrea Lieberman, who's a designer. She's actually a celebrity stylist, and she got her own line. And so they owned ALC. So I was always like, oh man, ALC's upstairs. I love their stuff. That's so cool. And so one day they're like, we need a fit model. What are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. So they were like, why don't you just go downstairs and get that tech designer, Jess? And I was like, okay. So I went upstairs and I was the fit model. And so as it was like pinning some stuff on me, we're talking, shooting the shit. She's asking me questions and stuff. And she just really liked how we worked together. And she liked my input in the comments as far as the fit and everything. So then when Mike and Chris went under, my boss was like, so I have good news and bad news. The bad news is that Mike and Chris is done. The good news is that Andrea wants you. And I was like, cool, okay. So
that's great.
Yeah, so I went upstairs, started working with Andrea, and there was just myself, Andrea, another woman, Marcia, who ran like all of the development. There was a production manager and a couple of sewers and a cutter, and that was it. And now the brand is huge. But I was there for 5 years, and I did everything from I started out doing pre-production, and then I went on to run all of the development, and then they split it up. They split out that development role into a couple positions because they had to start hiring more people, because obviously, working from 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day was not cutting it. So they finally started hiring some more people. And then I became the fabric buyer, and then they wanted to start moving things overseas to China. Not all of it, just some of it, in order to help the margins. And they're like, how do we move stuff overseas to China? And they're like, Jess, you're a technical designer. And I was like, okay, great. So then I got back into technical design with them. So I was there for 5 years. So it was a wild ride, but it's pretty cool. So
that is, dude, everything that you've done, like in those 3 positions, that I feel like it helped to kind of set you up for your future goal of your business.
100%.
Because that's stuff they don't teach you in school. So that's pretty awesome. That's something they should start doing, I think. They should shift it. And I think like FIT is now doing more business stuff, but still there's a lot, like even down with speccing of garments. I was a technical designer for 6 months and then ended up being a designer for a dance costume company, but that's where I learned about doing specs, like full on, and working overseas with patterns too. That's a whole other thing. But wow, that's all. Woo, that's great. So, all right. So ALC, when you told me that you worked there, I died, because then when you told me about Gwen Stefani, remember? Everybody knows how much I love Gwen. I died. But so all right. After that, then
one time she was like, I need you to come up here, because she still styled Gwen. And I need you to go to the warehouse, grab like 2 sizes in every pair of pants that we own, and come up to this place in the Hollywood Hills. And I was like, okay, fine. And it was Gwen's house. And I was like, I was starstruck, but I was like, put over there for a fitting. And when I met her, she's like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Gwen. And I was like, I know. But
she's so cool. No, I met her too. I met her in 2006. Yes. She's so cool. But anyway, am I allowed to mention the photo you sent me?
Jess is a fashion designer and met Gwen Stefani. I'm like, I've done a lot more than that, but okay, sure. I met Gwen.
Can I tell it was a big deal to me, the picture that you sent me. Am I allowed to mention? Do you even remember? You sent me a picture when you guys were in a meeting.
Oh, never mind. Like a picture of something?
Or like, Gwen, and then you sent it. Just kidding. Who knows? Anyway.
Oh my God.
Edit that out. All right, so next up. So then you ended up with Raquel Allegra. Tell me about that experience. I like her stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. I picked her out.
So after ALC, I moved over to Raquel Allegra. Actually, Andrea actually contacted her friend Raquel and was like, you got to hire this girl. And I was like, awesome, thanks. So Andrea's actually gave me the recommendation to go work over at Raquel. And it's cool because her studio is literally like one building away from ALC. So like
Oh, that's
so it's the
nice.
same, it's the same block. It's owned by the same like Anjac fashion company. But I went from like 818 to 834. So like 2 doors down. But it's really cool. I really liked working with her. I was with her for 5 years doing pre-production. So they basically brought me in to help like organize the design room. So it's like there's the design room and there's production. So it's the same like right brain, left brain thing. So design room is the super creative. We're gonna come up with this. That's where we develop everything. But they need help getting everything grouped into like grouping together all the information, as in pre-costing. Like, can we even afford this fabric? How much is it gonna cost to sew this beforehand before we actually make all the duplicates and everything? Get all the information. How do we get all the information over to the production team, and how do we get the production team off of our back, because the production team is constantly question, and design's like, you're disrupting my creative process. So that's where I came in. So I was the pre-production manager. So I worked in the design room, but I basically like organized all of their thoughts, put it into something that made sense for production, and then worked with production. So whenever production had a question about something, they would come to me and I would figure it out. So that way I was kind of like the shield. So but it was really cool, like being in the design studio, and it's such a small team, you know, which is really cool. Like everything is handmade in LA except for Raquel Allegra, except for the sweaters, which you can't really get sweaters made in LA anymore.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like one or maybe two manufacturers, and they're super overpriced. It's just so. But yeah, but anyway, everything is handmade in LA, and it's cool because like we would work with dye houses, and there was this one guy that he's this incredible artist, and he would create all of the different tie-dye and dyeing techniques. Like some of the stuff I was just like, I feel like his technique of the way that he handled the dye and doing the different tie-dyes was so completely unique. And I think that that's kind of what makes Raquel's brand like so incredibly unique. And so it's cool, like being able to work with everybody and see how they do things. And it was, once again, I mean, I love keeping everything's made in LA. Everything's made, like, you know, you call up the contractor, you go down the street to them, they come pick up from you. Like everything's just right there, which is really nice. And I like keeping everything in LA, which is something that I want to keep doing with my line. So obviously keep working in LA.
That's great, because then you don't have to wait for samples from overseas. That's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's great.
It's a better hands-on process, and it's fun. It's cool. The whole process is nice. Yeah.
So where are you now?
What's that?
Where are you now? Are you freelancing?
No,
or
now so the pandemic hit, and so we started to work from home, but sales unfortunately just started to tank because of it, like most fashion companies. I mean, so many people I know right now are out of jobs. So many brands closed, insane, and so many people got laid off. So when that happened, I was one of the ones, unfortunately, like they had to cut about, I think, 70% of the company. There's only a couple people left there, which is really sad, but they're still working. They're still doing a good job.
They'll get it back.
Yeah.
It's going to take time.
Yeah. So, so when that hit, I started making masks, and we can get into that later. So I started making masks because I was like, well, what?
Just want to let you know. So we're half an hour in. This runs for an hour. And if we do get cut off, I will call you back. That's what we do sometimes. Sometimes we're like overtime, and it's fine. I just want to let you know.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Because this will shut off on us. So, okay, go.
So, okay, so that happened. I started making masks because, excuse me, I was like, well, there's a major lack of
Mhm.
PPE available in the beginning. So I was like, well, I can sew. I have cotton fabric in my closet. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to start making some stuff like for my friends and family. So at least like we have the stuff. I posted up a picture on my on the Instagram here, and my friend Alana saw it, who is amazing, like one of the best, kindest women I've ever met in my entire life. So
Yeah.
she calls me and she goes, because she sews also, she's creative, and she makes these awesome handbags. Like, oh my god. Anyway, so she calls me up and she's like, "Hey, you're making masks, right?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Okay, so am I. I made like a couple hundred, and I'm taking them, or I just took them to a senior home so that they have the masks." And
Wow.
she posted up a picture on her personal Instagram, and she works for Paul Mitchell, and she's
Oh, cool.
events coordinator, so she knows everybody, and
Yeah.
she's like literally the nicest person you've ever met in your life. So she's super easy to get along with, and freaking everybody loves Alana. So she posted up, she's like, "I just made these masks," and she gets so many messages. I need a mask. I need a mask. I need a mask. She's, oh my God, how do I handle this? And she goes, "I'm going to call Jess." "Hey, Jess, what are you doing? Are you busy?" I was like, "Not really, but I'm making some masks." She goes, "You want to make masks together?" "Sure, why not?" And then that's how we started Safe Face. And we were like, with 36 hours, we had a company.
Oh my gosh.
So
How awesome is that?
yeah, we just like pulled together all the supplies that we had in our houses because all the stores were closed. And we are like, okay, I have this fabric. I have this fabric. Okay. So we pre-washed the fabric, started cutting it, found a pattern online. You can find it anywhere. It's super easy. But started doing that. And it was fun because she made these little leather patches or
Yeah.
little leather pins, or she sewed on like a pair of lips out of leather on your stuff because she makes leather goods. And she was like, "You know what? It sucks right now. I'm just going to put on like a smile to go to the grocery store and make people laugh." And everybody loved it. And I was like, let's turn it in. Like, we decided, let's turn it into a pin so that you could put it on or take it off, and then you can wash the mask without the leather damaged.
Yeah.
So we started doing that, and then we made little mustaches and stuff like that. So it's
That's
fun.
a good idea.
It makes people laugh, especially during a time when everybody's like obviously pretty down. And
Yeah.
so
How many do you think you guys made?
a couple thousand, maybe.
Holy, just you two. That's crazy.
Well, when we got in the thick of it, I was able to hire a couple of contractors.
Oh, good.
So, oh my God, no, there's no way I could sew every single one. But when in the beginning, like we started doing it ourselves, and then we were both up sewing probably till like 4 a.m. every night. I wasn't eating properly. My boyfriend's like, you need to like stop and eat something and take care of yourself. I was like, I gotta sew. So finally I was like, okay, I'm going to work with a contractor. So I was able to use my skills as like doing development and pre-production and, getting everything organized, and talk to the contractor and pick it up, bring it back, package it, ship it. So,
that's great.
So yeah, I was able
So
to.
where can people buy it? Where can they buy your masks?
What's that?
Where can people buy your masks?
At Safe Face LA on Instagram. We have an account. We're also on Facebook as Safe Face LA. And we have safefacela.com, which I am currently in the process of building an online store, because right now I'm on Instagram and people will DM. I'm like, just DM me what you want. And I'm like, okay, this is your total. So,
oh God.
So yeah, it's a lot of like, I manage the whole thing myself right now, which is like, woo.
That is wow.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of building an online store, and that should be ready hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and
excellent,
make things much easier
so
and smoother.
Will you have inventory, or will it be pre-orders?
I think it's
because right now you're coming to order.
Yeah, everything right now is made to order. I think I'm still trying to figure out that whole process,
Gotcha.
like exactly what's going to make the most sense, trying to see like what's going to
Yeah.
sell the most. I think for now, in the beginning, seeing how it goes, I think it's just going to be like a made to order thing. Uh,
Cool.
but if it's,
That's a great idea.
I mean, there's going to be some pieces that are coming up in October. I'm going to have like a new release,
Yay.
more like spooky Halloween theme kind of stuff, which is like totally a jam.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, so when that comes out, then I'm gonna have some featured styles, and I think that I'm going to just like have small batches of pre-made things, and that way I can kind of like keep up with orders in a timely manner. Because I'm actually I signed up for this virtual market, and it's called
Yes.
Darksome Virtual Market, and it's this really awesome art and craft market that is put on by Lindsay, who's Cabinet of Curious Clay, and she created this incredible market for like dark artists. And
Excellent.
so she created this amazing community of different artists and makers, and there we go. Yeah, she just posted it up, Darksome Craft Market. So she created this awesome community, and she has live markets and stuff like that. Last year, the Halloween market was in a cemetery. So she had like all the booths set up, and you could walk through the cemetery, and it was so rad. But now with COVID, she had to go virtual. So, but she's still doing it. So I signed up. So she's like, "Come on, just do it." I was like, "Okay."
Yes.
But
Is this for directly to a consumer, or do buyers do the virtual market? Do
no,
they have to register?
just direct to consumer. It's just like
Perfect.
an art craft market. There's all kinds of like, there's illustrators. There's you know, she makes pottery. There's people who do illustrations, awesome art prints. People who do like all kinds of cool candles and bathwares and stuff like that. Like it's a really cool art market. So
Maybe I should talk to Lindsay.
Yeah, you should.
Because I do a lot of veils and cloaks that are
That's awesome.
gothic, but I don't really promote it that much because it's, you know, not my aesthetic of my business, but I do it. But yeah, I'll send you some stuff. I'll show you.
Clothing. Look at her. We got it all.
Excellent. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
It's cool. So
I'll promote you too, girl.
Because I like it because the since the masks are at a lower price point than my clothing design collection, it's, you know, they're easy to make. It's a easy, everybody needs them. It's fun. So
speaking of masks, you were doing masks before this.
Yes.
You did like that piece down the turtleneck. What is that called? I don't even know. It's like a turtleneck thing.
I don't know. I just called it like a neck corset mask. I don't know.
There you go.
But yeah, that was, I think I made that piece back in 2007, I want to say.
Yeah.
It was when 2007, 2008, it was like when I first moved out to LA.
Yeah, your first collection.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I really want the model to be wearing like something covering her face, right? Like a mask. And back then, like nobody was doing that. Now you see that stuff all over the place. It's like all over Etsy. It's all over all those goth sites that are like, cyber goth. So
inspired.
Nobody was doing that, and I was like, you know what? I really want the model to like have half her face covered, like an extension of her neck. So I like draped it on my face and put together a pattern and
draped it on your face.
Well, like
that is skill.
Take some fabric, put it up.
I can't even. But draping on yourself, I can't do that. That's crazy. That's amazing.
It's not.
I would not be able to do that.
I mean, does your dress have a head? Mine doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Well, I would have done it on somebody else.
Yeah. Well,
you're awesome.
It was easy. So yeah, so I made that, and I made it in leather, and I made it in like this recycled army twill that I had. Definitely should have gotten a glass of water.
Oh, girl, you can go get one if you need one.
So anyway, real quick, I made a couple, one out of leather with like this silk lining, It has like
Oh,
a
cool.
silk lining coming out of the top of it. So I wanted it, that kind of reminded me of the body modification thing, where I was like, it kind
Yeah.
of looks like skin and it got sliced open.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
pink around the top edge there.
That makes sense now. Cool. So
Did
you're doing that. That's awesome. Yeah. Like, oh, I like to hear what inspires people and where they draw that inspiration from when they make something. That's really cool.
And
Thank you for sharing that.
then the other one that I made was out of an old military, like I would go to the surplus store in LA to buy military fabric. So I found like
Nice.
a sleeping bag, and the sleeping bag came inside of a bag, like a
Okay.
canvas bag to store it in. And I was like, I'm going to use that as fabric. So I cut apart the sleeping bag, and it was cool because I liked all the stitches and the vintage stitches on it. So that's why that one has lots of weird stitches all over it. Those are actually
Oh,
the canvas sleeping
I thought you
bag.
did that.
Nope. So
Great.
like
Oh,
the main corset part I did, but then there's other
yeah.
pieces that cut through, and that's actually from the vintage fabric.
Oh, wow. You guys need to go on Jessica's website. It's jessicadarwin.com, right?
It's jessicadarwinstudio.com.
Studio.com.
Yep.
Check it out. Look at the stuff that she's talking about. It'll blow your mind.
It's also on here. It's on here too. It's easier, but still.
Follow her. She's amazing. So what's happening with your clothing line? That's what you're working on simultaneously. You're incredible, dude, because you're working full time. You're doing this mask business and you're doing your business. It's a lot. How do you how do you maintain a balance? You're gonna say you don't, but like how do you
I
plan
kind
it
of don't. I kind of don't. Definitely have some days that are harder than others, but it's like one day at a time. One day at a time, one project at a time. So my boyfriend's really good about helping me kind of like stay focused on that. He's like, little by little, step by step, you got this. So, yep.
Do you think the state of the situation that we're in, you know, how people are kind of like being more, I don't know what the right word is, but like budget friendly and they're shopping online, do you think that will you take that into account when you're designing again? Like to try to make things more accessible?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
I want to see your stuff in ready to wear. Sorry. Go ahead. I want to see like you doing ready to wear with a mix of like higher.
Yeah.
And I see that.
That's exactly the plan. I want to be able to have some of those like showstopper pieces that are like inside of my head, and people want to buy them, but then they wind up buying like a cool t-shirt instead, or like a cool pair of leggings, you know, because it's like, that's what I wear. That's what I want to buy. It's like, it's real easy like that. So it's the next collection that I'm going to be doing is kind of going to be a combination of like awesome pants that you want to wear every day. But I want to be able to offer them like in something rad, like stretch leather, but then also offer them in something like a stretch denim, like easier to wear.
Cool. Okay.
So with design details, without design details. I have a leather jacket that I'm going to do, and I want to do that in leather, but I also want to do it not in leather. So I want to be able to offer things because I like working in leather, and I'm working on trying to find some more vegan leather options, just because the more sustainability, more, I mean, I'm not a vegan, but I would like to be, but I just think it's important. You know what I mean? So anyway, sidetrack. So yeah, my new collection is just going to be like a capsule collection, and I actually just met with a pattern maker yesterday to help get me up and running on some new basic blocks, because once basic blocks, then I can design from there and not have to worry about like so.
And why are you not doing them yourself? Just asking a question.
The basic blocks, because of my years of experience working with pattern makers is awesome. There's so many pattern makers out there, especially that need jobs right now. But there's so many pattern makers out there that like they know so much more about fit than I ever would. I was a tech designer. I understand fit, but they know how to manipulate the pattern correctly in order to get the perfect fit. So that's why I decided that I'm going to work with a pattern maker just to do, she's literally just doing like 2 basic patterns for me. So then that way, when I want to design something, I have the perfect fit, and then I can go in and I can adjust the patterns to my designs. So
That's great. I think that's awesome. Pattern makers are key, guys,
mm-hmm.
when it comes to design. I think that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely.
So
It's a team effort. Yes, Jeanette.
sorry.
Yeah, Jeanette, we're going to post this up later. You can see
Yes, we are.
it. Busy lady. Sell some houses,
Yay.
girl.
Excellent. So do you think you're going to stick with the fashion calendar? I feel like it's changing anyway. I think people are kind of, it's not the same, obviously.
It's totally changing. I think the whole idea of a fashion calendar is, it's completely changing the entire industry. Like at work right now, it's, the dates are completely changing. Like resort is getting delivered later than expected. A lot of people are skipping seasons. A lot of people are consolidating seasons. Instead of having 7 deliveries a year, they're doing like 2, you know, like I think that Michael Kors is doing that. So, oh, Lindsay's asking, what is a fashion calendar? Whew.
It's an outdated.
Yeah.
Good.
So the fashion calendar,
you can go.
It's basically like what all fashion companies use, because the whole process of design in a nutshell is I'm like, let me just sum 13 years into like 2 seconds. So basically, first there's design. Design comes up with the concept. They're working on forecasting. They're looking up trends and da 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 da, right? They come up with a collection. They make samples of the collection. Those samples go to a showroom. The showroom then says, look at these new clothes. These are so awesome. You can buy them. They're doing that and meeting with buyers, people who work at stores, like people who are like the buyers of Neiman Marcus and the buyers of the boutique down the street. They go in for these appointments and they see the collection, they see the samples, and they say, we like that. Give us 5 of those in this color, give us 3 of those in that color, give us 2 of those in that. We'll take these sizes. They get in their orders and then that's the market. That's market week. So all of this happens at the same time, so that like all the brands show their clothes during market for LA at this time. So then that way all the buyers from all over the country can come and see everything in 1 week. And then after sales close, then the final orders get tallied, and then it goes into production, because then that way we know, okay, in total we sold 450 units of this pant style, and we need to cut, like, you know, you have the pick ticket, so you know how many pieces you're going to cut in what sizes and in what colors. And then it goes into production, which, you know, first you have to buy the fabric, wait for the fabric to get there, adjust the fit of the pattern, go through multiple fittings and testing out the fabric. And then once it gets good and approved to production, then the final fabric is there. Then you send everything out to the cutter. You send it out to the sewer, the sewing contractor. After that, you send it out to dye or wash if there's something like that on it. And then it goes back to the contractor, and they go through and they finish it. And that's when they steam it out, put the labels on, roll up the cuffs, put it in bags, get it ready to ship. And it goes back to our warehouse. Then from there, the warehouse, it's like, okay, it's shipping time. So by the time it's shipping time, that's also part of the delivery calendar. So for example, spring season, there's spring 1, spring 2. Sometimes there's spring 3, depending on how big your season is, but each one is a monthly delivery. So spring 1, it's like, we say 115, 130X, or 130, 215X, which means that we're guaranteeing the stores that we're going to ship the goods. We're going to ship their order to them within that 15-day window is when they're going to get their clothes. And that's when it goes out onto the sales floor. And then all of a sudden you're in the store and it's like, check out the new season. So that's the fashion calendar in a nutshell.
That was
It
an
actually,
awesome explanation.
that's why we start so early,
Yeah.
because there's such a
Yeah.
process to it. Like, so right now, the company I'm working at is called Zarena, and it's actually owned by the same people who own Raquel.
Okay.
And so they call me in and they're like, we need a product developer. And I was like, you guys are the best. I totally want to keep working with you. So now I'm doing product development for Zarena during the day. And it's awesome.
That
It's
is
a cool
awesome.
team. So right now we just shipped the spring collection to the showroom for spring 21. And
Wow.
we're working on summer and fall 21.
Okay.
So the stuff that's going to be delivered in the summertime and the stuff that's going to be delivered in fall, that's what we're working on design now. So it basically like it happens a year in advance because of the whole process, you know?
It is a process. So we have 5 minutes.
Yep.
Let's end, and I'm going to call you back. Okay?
Cool.
We'll be back in like 2 minutes, guys.
Bye.